Welcome back to another episode of the Career Evolved podcast. And today we have Francisco Vega, who has successfully completely redesigned his career and completely upgraded his value in the market. And, you know, when Francisco began this transition with the Career Evolved method, he was a VP at BlackRock, one of the largest financial institutions in the world, leading huge system implementations and really at the helm of his career and making the impact and being an advisor to CIOs, COOs, heads of technology. And so ultimately, through this process, he's also attracted me, the CEO of Career Evolved, to be the CTO of Career Evolved, in addition to all the other things he's now building with FranciscoVega.ai. So this is just a tremendous story, and I've had the opportunity to have a front row seat to this incredible breakthrough and transformation. So I'm excited to share, everything that's happened and how Francisco is helping to elevate everything we're doing here at Career Evolved, in addition to how he's completely transformed his career using the Career Evolved method. So, Francisco, thank you so much for making the time to tell your story.
Yeah, obviously, it's a pleasure to be here. I know I was joking earlier that it takes quite a bar of transformation to make it on this podcast, but it
It
feels
does.
really good to be on the other side of some level of transformation, right? Because you're always evolving. So, yeah, pleasure to
Yeah,
be here.
and it's just one of these markets that it's like a new era. It's not even a new chapter, it's a new book with the disruption of AI and you being like a systems guy, not a traditional tech guy, but you live and breathe systems, and now you're entering a market after a decade with one of the biggest companies. Like, tell us, what did that look like with the Career Evolved method for you? And, was it what you expected? And how did that transition begin?
So, the way that I first started to approach it was on a very simplistic basis, looking at, what is my value in dollar terms? So what do I get paid now versus what I think I would get paid in a similar role at another institution? And so once, that disconnect clicked, I then, dug deeper and thought, well, the scope of my role is actually quite greater than some of the same roles at these other companies. So I should actually be thinking at a higher level role to in terms of a comparison. And so little by little, as I started to dig into these different roles, and mind you, these are very exciting, cutting edge roles, tech sales in AI companies that are, getting a series announcement every other week. So it's not just any company, right? I was looking very deep into these roles and I realized that I was bigger than these roles, and there really wasn't anywhere there that was fitting for what I could do. And so I naturally kind of started to have this inkling, but there was no answer in sight yet. I think I had played around with AI to help me, outreach to folks and help me plan that and organize that, right? Like to be able to handle high volume outreach in an organized manner. And, given someone like me really could benefits from organizational tools that automate some of that aspect, right? Not automating the copy, but at least the organizational piece. So that's when things just started to kind of click, and I guess I'll pause there since it kind of then transitions into the project with you.
Absolutely. And so, obviously, just full transparency here, me and Francisco are engaged. So, of course, as his partner, I want to see him get the highest possible value for his skill set with, you know, all he knows about very complex databases and dealing with very expensive, complex financial models in Wall Street and dealing with billions of data like items, I knew that obviously there was a lot of intelligence here at Career Evolved over a decade, thousands of clients, so many emails, so many contacts and clicks and sales and revenue and all this data that I knew there was a way to leverage this more to get better clients because I'm all about evolving. And I had continued to invest in these AI consultants that were supposed to help me use this intelligence, but in fact, none of them actually did. And it ended up being a complete waste of money. And as I was sharing my frustration with some of these marketing AI tech consultants and just the lack of customization and the lack of understanding of my business and my customer and leveraging the years of data, it really just kind of dawned on me that I should ask you for help. And you were able to step in and assess the situation with my customer, acquisition system. And that's when I realized, whoa, you're way more powerful than I even realized when I saw what you were able to create. But I'd love to hear from your perspective because ultimately, that's where the beginning began, where we were able to see the power of really what you're able to create in this current world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's very exciting. So, I think to start, my background, as you mentioned, is in Wall Street investment management systems. And so you can just think about this as business processes, and they're happening with a bunch of data points. That's all it is. So it's any sort of business, maybe just on hyper, like juiced up. That's kind of what you're thinking about when you're thinking about investment management systems. Like data that's flowing in all day, updating intraday. And so I spent a lot of time with the end users of these tools looking at their screens. I spent a lot of time with the C-suite of these companies advising them on whether or not they should use the platform that I was working for X, or they should pivot to Y for a certain function, right? So I had this experience that was very well-rounded in how organizations use systems, how they store data. Um, and once Olivia, kind of came to me with this question saying, "Hey, I heard you can kind of apply AI to do some of this stuff." And then I went and I did it. I was mind blown. I was able to take, the bits and pieces that I know from, my background is electrical engineering, but in college, right? Um, but I was able to kind of take all these bits and pieces that I knew from my job, right? Like technical capabilities from my job that allow me to release a certain part of a software. So I put all these things together and I realized that I started to build systems and software that were comparable to things that I was using on a daily basis. And I really was just blown away with, and the reason I kind of spoke about that entire background is because that gave me that kind of basis. And I also have a CFA, which is a chartered financial analyst, which is more of like an investment research type role, but it takes into account, financial statement modeling. So thinking income statement, thinking balance sheet, thinking cash flow, like this is all just native to me. So putting all of this together, I was doing things from a technical capacity that 5 years ago, would have taken a $10,000 Python boot camp. I was doing these things in an hour, in 30 minutes. And so I think once that clicked, I started to realize, well, we're at this pivot point in technology where sure, I saw my value and I couldn't really see it in the job postings that I saw. It was almost like I could feel like I could do all of them. And so then naturally, the only path was to do all of them and then essentially, start my own uh, consultancy with a small team of software engineers, right? But um, yeah, I'll pause there because I mean, I think the data point that really blew my mind was I asked Claude like how much this platform costs and like it should sell for, just out of curiosity, because I've been hammering away at this thing, plugging the APIs, downloading data, scraping data, setting up jobs to sync data, all sorts of stuff. And Claude said something like 700K with like 5 engineers. And I was just like, no way. Like, that's absurd. First off, I'm one person, Claude. Pretend I got 3 Claude codes running, right? And it's just me. And I got Claude down to like 500K for 2 people, but it was me doing it on nights and weekends. And this isn't like throwaway work. This is actually like, you could call some of that an R&D budget, to be fair, but this is mostly like legitimate platform, solid enterprise level platform. So once Claude told me that, the numbers just made no sense to stay at where I was at. And the only logical step was to leave, even just to pursue opportunities and invest in being able to do more of this. So I
Absolutely.
said a lot there.
I mean, ultimately, we keep hearing about, AIs disrupting corporate, and we're already seeing it, but to actually get in there and experience that you have the capacity to build something in a month that would take a year and a team and cost $500,000, that is tough to ignore when you can produce that kind of value. And, this is not to say that anyone can produce this, because you have a tremendous knowledge of databases, technology, and you're able to understand how to piece all these integrations of all my systems together. You have knowledge that is obviously there that not just anyone can pick up overnight, right? So I think it's important to emphasize that, but just the fact that, what you've even taught me too is that AI has become an intelligence multiplier, but it's only as good at multiplying what's already there. So it can multiply mediocrity or it can multiply excellence. And from your standpoint and from my benefit, I was able to see all I asked for was a simple demand generation process, and I got an entire enterprise system for customer acquisition that tracked every data point in my business and put it into one platform and dashboard in real-time data, whether it was the CRM dialing or the inbound leads or the clicks and the revenue, and it just is all integrated to one space. And honestly, I didn't even think that was possible. So to see that created for me, it immediately helped me to see where I was wasting money on marketing and able to quickly cut the expenses by 60%, because there's just clearly evidence now that there was just so much underneath this machine and the database that I already had that needed to be optimized with the intelligence that is available to go deeper with it, and less waste and less bloat. So from my perspective, it was a huge breakthrough, because ultimately, I up until this point, I'd been using AI systems here and there to multiply certain tasks, but to actually leverage all my data, my intelligence, my customers, I think that was ultimately the game changer for me and for you to help me also build, my own command center and my own replicating my intelligence and decades of, subject matter expertise with career evolved and methodology and strategic thinking and skills and communication. And it's been a game changer. And I'm just so grateful that, we've had the space to be able to collaborate on this, because I've been seeing just tremendous growth. And I think it's just opened up a whole new world for our clients to leverage your skill set and mine combined as well.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
my biggest question for you is, I talk to executives every day, and they're really concerned about AI taking a lot of jobs. And there's no doubt that organizations are quickly rushing to restructure, and they're becoming flatter, and they are cutting a lot of people. It's the most noisy and crowded executive market I've seen in the decade that I've been doing this. So I would be curious from your perspective, what does that future AI augmented executive look like that can really thrive in this future world? And we're all building it and in it right now. And it's rapidly evolving every week, every month.
Yeah, so I think about this a lot because I think I also get caught up in this news cycle, whether it be on social media or otherwise, of AI, where there's so much noise, where it's, is it a threat to my job or is it just gimmicky uh, nonsense? And is it Claude versus Perplexity? And so there's just a lot of noise and misunderstanding. And I can speak ad nauseum about the underlying drivers of it essentially just being the economics of these AI companies trying to sell their products. But it comes down to, it's a technology, it's a new technology that is life changing. And it's about knowing how it works and how to apply it. It's not about knowing the latest and greatest AI product and knowing how to do this or that. It's about understanding what it is that it's bones and then operating with an executive mindset from there, because it should scale the intelligence of your team. It should scale your workflows because you shouldn't be doing things in an automated fashion. Software engineering is democratized. AI will allow for this sort of operational margin scaling. So there's that's how I think about it. And I'm going to pause there because I think it's important to just think about it simply. You don't just, you can go out to the store and buy a bunch of different soups, Anthropic soup, Perplexity soup, DeepSeek soup, whatever model soup you want out there. Um, but ultimately, you kind of just have to understand how the soup is made, and then you'll be able to get to thrive. And that's really how I think about it. And I think something like evolved intelligence is an opportunity to wrap your brain around what this technology actually is so that you know what it's going to do. Because you know your business better than anybody. A robot's not going to replace your business, but someone who knows your business and knows how to use a robot to multiply their intelligence to go after your business, they might take your job, right? And so it's a different world. It's a technology. So you gotta learn a new technology just like anything else. That's
Yeah.
really, I think, what it comes down to. And I think it's very easy to get trapped in this big, scary boogeyman issue because, firms are using that as an excuse to, uh, in my opinion. But
And
I'll
I'll
pause
get
there.
into the evolved intelligence a little bit later, but I think it's really important to talk about what you've just done, like in systematically redesigning and restructuring your career and how you've productized your executive skill set. Because ultimately, what you've done is you've 100x'd your value of your time by now seeing yourself as a premium brand that can produce premium services and products at scale because of your ability to multiply your own skills and intelligence, leveraging AI. And that's
Correct.
exactly what I've been doing with your help by creating models and frameworks and intelligence and AI brain agents to multiply myself with those who don't have that level of thinking and experience and knowledge, but giving them access to me. It's like a multiplier of me out there executing in my way of the world, right? And so, as you think about how you've shifted, I don't think a lot of people are realizing though, but the day of just getting to this income level through a job is a model that's slowly dying for the modern executive. And we're now moving more towards this portfolio career where you have fractional, you have advisory seats, you have board seats, you have equity partnerships, and we're restructuring corporate America in real time. And it's really scary for a lot of people. And so, for the modern executive that needs to evolve in this type of market, and you've been there, right? You were at BlackRock as a VP for 10 years. You had it great. You had a great expense account. You get to go to these fancy hotels and restaurants. You've got the credibility, the authority. Everyone thinks you're amazing. You work at BlackRock, right? But to leave that and enter this unknown, how did you make that shift? And what advice can you give to others that are trying to navigate this chaos right now?
Yeah, I guess I think I should just add that, like, I have the electrical engineering background. I don't think everyone needs to build systems, and that means you're good at AI. It's more higher level than that. But I guess the reason it's like, so part of this is like mindset work, right?
Always
And so, like,
identity.
yeah. And so, like, I just feel like I'm a very technical person. Like, I made a computer when I was in middle school. Excuse me. So I've always, like, understood technology. Like, I've always seen it. And, like, my dad bought me the computer, like, I built it. It was a pain in the ass, like, having to set up a computer. If you've ever done it, it's like it's such a pain in the ass. I don't do it again. I don't do it anymore. But, so I've always had this, like, understanding of technology, and I saw big data. I saw all these things happen. I saw semiconductors. I was a semiconductor engineer. That's where I started. I saw NVIDIA. I knew NVIDIA was gonna blow up. I just all these things where I just have had, like, that understanding. And then so I just trusted it, and it's always been there, and that was it.
And so it
There's nothing
comes
else to
down to
explain it.
it's about self-trust in the value and the belief that the market will see that value. And I think also, learning how to create demand for this. And what's really crazy, and I've just been witnessing this as a front row seat, is that when you got really clear on your value and why it's so rare, it's like, and you're being very humble right now because when I hear you and it's just us talking, you are like just on another level with this stuff. It's just it's insane, right? At what I see you produce in just a day for different large enterprise companies. And you produce things before anybody's even paid you a dime. And you build massive database systems that create intelligence for people before they've even paid you. And so that's how you're able to pull and command is because you're not looking for a job and trying to pitch. You're demonstrating and positioning value that you uniquely have put together and created in your mind as an architect. And you've not just talked about it, but you're actually building something they can tangibly see. And that's what you did for me. And that's what you continue to do, and why you're able to go to the moon with your value because you're no longer thinking in the old paradigm of job, salary, W-2. You're thinking problem, value, ROI. And that's worth it's exponential when you're talking about systems and intelligence and the multiplier of these automated systems and what that means for their business productivity, whether it's decreasing margins or increasing revenue. So I think the biggest shift for you, and God bless you, you're so powerful, and I've been able to be part of your strategic advising team on your positioning in the market. But I mean, when I saw your skill set, I was like, oh, this is so easy to sell. It's so obvious. It's so tangible. And when you start to see the value and no longer see the resume, something big shifts. And it's where you now start to open up your world of possibilities beyond a container of one company. But the biggest shift that you had to make was you couldn't view safety and define safety as a W-2. You now are defining safety in you. And quite frankly,
Right.
I tell this to all my clients, and I really hope anybody hearing this starts to open your mind, because if you really want to build wealth, really safety has to be in your ability to own your value and create visibility, demand, and demonstrate that demand. And then you'll never worry about a job because you're owning your value, and gone are the days where you rely on a resume and a recruiter, because AI has made those completely irrelevant. And so what Francisco has done is taken a leap of faith and really going down a journey of owning his worth and commanding that value. And the more he just saw problems and started building solutions without even being asked, that's how the demand was created. And that's why it's easy to see the value. It's not even a sale, it's just an obvious positioning. And when you position, the premium product pulls you. The moment you announced you were leaving BlackRock, you had people saying, "We need you." And that was exactly the whole model of positioning and becoming a premium product. So I feel like without even realizing it, this is naturally how you were serving, adding value, building and demonstrating and positioning through your own way. Maybe not in words, but through what you were building without being asked. And so where
That's
I want
right.
to go with this
And it's fun.
next is really important, because I think this is the future, right? And this is why we've brought you in as our CTO, because we think it's so important to help executives to not only become AI literate, but also learn how to multiply their own intelligence. And those are the executives who are really going to be running laps around everybody, because they understand where AI is leveraged, where they're needed, and where they are more powerful than the AI system. And so it's so important that people start to build this awareness. And I see this all the time with Career Evolve, right? And you and I have talked about this because, even now with your, your consulting firm, FranciscoVega.ai, you've got to always be building demand, and you've got multiple products, multiple services, and you've also got clients you're servicing, you and your team you're managing. So it's like so many executives, they learn the Career Evolve system and the method, and then life happens. Like you get swallowed up with client work or with your business or with your job, right? Then the consistent connection, the outreach slows down, AI literacy goes out the window. You never really fully install that and integrate that habit. Then your positioning in the market starts to drift because it's not a habit, it's not happening. You're not adding value broadly to the market regularly. You're just maintaining your current situation. And that's not because people stop caring, it's because they don't have the infrastructure running that practice in the background. And so AI is also actively commoditizing senior executives who have not adapted their operating model, and boards are starting to ask the AI question. Hiring committees are asking it. Operating partners at PE firms are asking it. Executives who can't answer it specifically are getting filtered out of those rooms. And so evolved intelligence solves all of these problems. And this is really what Francisco and I are building to, we'll be sharing more in the coming weeks, but it's the infrastructure that keeps the career evolved method running permanently. And AI tools built in your voice, your positioning, your destinations, permanent practice community at the senior executive level, and live workshops, real tools, real outcomes shared in real time. Because I've had so many of my clients come to me, they're like, Olivia, I know I need to stay up to date on this AI stuff, but I just need to know, what do I need to know as an executive? What should I be doing? Like, it's just all so overwhelming and there's so much noise and everybody's trying to sell something. It's like, well, we've created something very specific for the executive that really wants to maintain AI literacy habit and maintain their positioning and really continue to build their brand and continue to build their brand equity and strategic relationships and visibility as a premium product, because that's the future. That's how you completely recession proof yourself and your career. And that's how you build wealth, because you're never relying on one organization to create safety. The safety's in you and your ability to own your value and continue to evolve and demonstrate that value through the visibility and connecting with the market. So, Francisco, what else would you like to share with anyone listening about, what we're building, why it matters? Why do you think it's going to help people to get up to par with this AI stuff? Because I think a lot of people are kind of overwhelmed with everything they've got to do, plus having to keep up with what they even need to be paying attention to for the future so they don't fall behind.
Yeah, and I think I alluded to this earlier. I think we have a different perspective on AI in the career evolved community. There's quite a number of executives already in the community, and hence, you have a unique, set of folks who are actively in the game where AI, is making that impact. And so, you can go out and buy any AI product to do XYZ for you. I think here is more about uh, that community aspect, the ability, the fact that we build these custom tools and we'll talk you through how we built them so that you understand the technology and then take it deeper to understand how that technology is going to impact your specific industry once, we help coach you through how to piece all that together. So I think the value of that community is pretty expansive, even just beyond the tools that we're building that we'll share, as part of the program, a discussion board, things of that nature, where folks can very openly participate in a discussion with a group of individuals where they can't find it anywhere else. You're not going to find this on any sort of message board or otherwise. So I think that's really the unique aspect here is you have operators that are doing this stuff in real time, and you're getting feedback from those folks.
And
Right,
honestly,
just from
guys,
that
like I
community.
this is gonna be priced as a steal right now because we just want to get more people evolving. It's only gonna be 97 bucks a month. So it's like get in now before we raise the price because when we launch this in a couple weeks, we really just want to help a lot of people and get this off the ground because so many people are falling behind and there's so much noise about AI. And I speak to hundreds of executives, me and my team a week. We know what's real. We know what's actually happening. And I talk to people that are in the business actually applying this. We can give you the real truth and help you stay ahead of the curve and integrate this into your business practices so you can immediately see the ROI not only on your own productivity at work, but also personally, and also continue to maintain your positioning in the market so you don't wait for the next surprise layoff or whatever it is, right? You're always ready and you're always positioning and you're always creating opportunity at all times. So that's our goal for this process in this community. And evolved intelligence is something that we've been really working and talking about for months behind the scenes. So we're really trying to put together something special that we want for ourselves that we know others are desperately going to need and have already been asking for. So stay tuned. Next week, we're going to be launching a free webinar, and it's just really high value information to give clarity on as an executive, as a leader that wants to evolve and stay relevant and ahead of the curve. What do you need to be focused on? What should you be learning with AI and what is real and what is noise so that we can cut through it all and share what you really need to know so you don't get distracted and running all over the place trying to learn everything and none of it actually make an impact. And that's what we're hearing from so many executives. They're just so overwhelmed. They don't know where to start and they need something to really start to see results with it so that they don't have time to waste. Everybody's already stretched so thin. So we're all about that value and that relevance and that immediate ROI and impact on your life and your business and your career. So I'm excited to share more. And Francisco, thank you so much for making the time and congratulations on all the success. I know it's just the beginning and excited to continue to build with you.
Yeah, thanks so much.